Have you given any thought to becoming an employee?
What do you mean?
Well, you think you could be a star?
You do?
Mommy loves you so much.
Hi, this is the Professional Amateur Hour coming to you with another review. This week, Leo sent me www.rachelormont.com, and this 2024 film was directed by Peter Veik and stars Betsey Brown, Chloe Cherry, and Ron Brown, among others, of course. Alright, so what is the story for www.rachelormont.com? Well, with this one, it's in a world where they have this advertisement agency, and you can become a slave for them if you sign away your rights. In addition, they will buy any baby for like $1,000 or something. And so this story is about one of the babies that this company buys, and I guess just raises her in kind of like an isolated room without really any education, but rather just viewing kind of stuff online. That way they can, say, oh, you got 1,000 views or whatever to their advertisers. And of course, she helps in the process of, deciding what's good, what's bad, and even volunteering to make some content herself, which kind of goes sideways for her. But what will happen? Will she ever be able to leave being owned by this agency? Well, for that, you gotta watch the movie and find out. All right, so let's discuss this movie. To start off, I gotta say that this one is a really kind of a strange and bizarre movie, which I kind of liked in its own way. It has this certain kind of like internet feel to it. It really reminds me of like TikTok or YouTube Shorts or anything like that, where it's short form content and just kind of, zoning out, rotting your mind. And this one has a very similar feeling, I would say. There's lots of kind of short, elements to it, but it's always kind of like this exaggerated form, certainly. And it's just absolutely bizarre. If you know someone who's, addicted to TikTok, this is like TikTok, taken to its extreme, and what it would mean to, someone being addicted to, any social media as well. And even then, like if someone was just kind of living in social media, like they're terminally online, and has a message to say something about, being terminally online, or what it would even mean to, just essentially just live online. I think there's lots of messages that you could probably take from this one, just about how kind of underhanded and ruthless these companies are. I think one message might be how, these advertisement agencies, and of course the media companies as well, take advantage of both the creators and the viewers, certainly. There are other messages, certainly to deal with like the amount of brain rot that you can get from this type of stuff. So it is a weird one. It's told in this really wicked, weird way. And it is, gotta say, kind of interesting when it comes down to it. Also, this movie does have fun to it. Ultimately, I think it's just so bizarre that I really did have some fun with it. It is sometimes like a music video even, and of course like a modern day music video, something like Grimes might make. And the characters certainly have looks to them as well. Like they look like they would be, that kind of person terminally online. So there is quite a few fun elements coming from the music video elements and other ones as well. It doesn't always, hit home, but for what it does tell us and what it does say for its message, I think is an effective way of just being bizarre, but bizarre in a cool way. And there are quite a few like neat little details that they put in this one to make for kind of an overall viewing experience that is quite something else. They do have subtitles like hard-coded into it, but the subtitles change sizes and change colors and change fonts, and just depending on what the situation calls for. And I just thought that was kind of a clever and interesting way that's very subtle. You certainly don't notice it until it really kind of becomes in your face because of a certain part that's very, I would say, emotionally heavy. And it's just a cool little feature in it that changes throughout the movie that just adds something to notice. And because there are so many different things to notice, and part of this movie comes from noticing everything, like the messages and thinking about the messages and what they could mean. And then what actually kind of happens in the end is this fun and bizarre, and it really is a movie of the times. It is one where it's wacky, like you would see from, you know, watching an hour and a half of TikTok or something. And lastly, there were moments where it was just so bad it was funny, so awkward it was funny. There are certainly some elements where it is cringe to the max. They're cringe maxing at points. I even think they say that it's all edgelord material or something, and which is not to say you can't enjoy that, but it's just funny ultimately. I would say it is a really kind of weird movie that I gotta say I had some laughs at. What else can I say? With this one, it does kind of have a feeling that could become, you know, a cult film. It is just like absolutely weird that there are things in it that I think people would really get attached to. So it is a cult film without a cult. And I think that brings me to what doesn't work with this film. And it is too bizarre for regular audiences, certainly. There is no way that a regular person is going to watch this and, you know, take away from it something that's fun and entertaining. Most people would think it's really cringy. Ultimately, I would say think there are too many masturbation scenes, if that is just a hint about why I think it might be cringy, and then how those ultimately play out are either gross or just like saddening when it comes down to it, because this company is essentially like torturing this woman in this, you know, isolated space, and it really is just torture for him. Like, it's really depressing at times. Like, you really kind of feel sad for this woman, especially since she is mentally stunted as well. I don't know if it's supposed to be that she is, you know, developmentally delayed, which is not cool to be, you know, torturing someone like that. I think they are going for the idea that maybe she's stunted based off of the, you know, education and environment that she's being put into. So I think that's probably what they would say, rather than it being, you know, a mentally challenged person. And that is depressing. It is depressing when it comes down to it. At least some scenes that are extra cringy. It's like, no, this is not what I want. But then there's scenes where, you know, she gets a family and she meets a sister, and oh, now she's meeting mommy 6.0, and it has a lot of other elements that are fun. Certainly it does, but it does have elements that are also not so much fun. So would I recommend this movie? Well, this is only for the strange cinema lovers that love strange things. Even then, like, if you are more kind of Gen Z oriented, I would say you are probably more primed to watch this movie as well. Personally, I had fun with it, but I liked the strange stuff. And this one was the right type of strange. It's just really internet strange rather than, you know, horror strange or whatever. So I would say if you can find it, sure, why not? Press play. And as for a rating, I have to give it the average score of 5 out of 10. Ultimately, it is not for like a normal audience. And if you are into, you know, online culture and stuff, this is probably more geared towards you. And with that being said, I think that's all I wanted to say. So like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.